Hello my crochet friends. Are you guys ready for another weekly crochet update? Wrap up? A weekly wrap up. Is that what I called it last week? Yeah. Alright, so whatever I said in last week's video, we're just going to pick up from there. I needed to frog my Lion Brand ice cream yarn in the cookies and cream color. So I did do that. I came up with two big balls. This should be a full skein at 3.5 ounces. I didn't weigh it, but that's what it should be. And this one too, although this one had a manufacturer's knot, so it's these two together. So now these can go to my mom's, but I haven't had time to drive there because she's 45 minutes away from me. I just have not had the times, but the job is done. This has been frogged. I've been keeping track in my notebook what I did on Saturday, Sunday, Monday, that kind of thing. I was working on the border to this one. This is the Lion Brand Big Scoop ice cream yarn in the color watermelon. I had made a little linen stitch blanket that was, it's like cot size. It's very narrow at like 110 stitches wide. I've been putting a border on it. I had put 2 rounds of white, and then I used the rest of the watermelon for the border. But I will lay that out and show that to you. I worked on that almost every day this week. Yeah, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And I finished the last round of the border on Wednesday. And then on Thursday, I decided to go to the store and get some fabric softener. Put it in some water with some fabric softener. See if I can soften it up and wash it. I do have video clips of that. But I think I'm just going to skip putting them in there. Because I did it on my phone in my kitchen, and my kitchen is a mess. Like my washer, where my washer is in the kitchen, the sink is right next to it, and underneath of the sink is the trash can and the recycling can, and then on the other side of the washer is my stove. So there was still a pot on the stove from spaghetti night. So you can kind of see that in the background. And as much as I don't mind showing you guys real life, it was a little too messy for me, and it's embarrassing that my kitchen is not cleaner than it is. So I did, when I went to the grocery store, I picked up the cheapest bottle of fabric softener I can find, and I think it's the Snuggle brand, the one with the teddy bear as the mascot. See, I don't keep fabric softener in my house. The smell of it is too much for me. I got a very sensitive nose with allergies to perfume. Okay, so I was a kid in the 70s and the 80s, and you guys remember the Avon lady that would come around with makeup? That Avon lady also came around with perfume and body powder that had perfume. And my goodness, when women in my family, when the Avon lady came around, my eyes would water and the sneezing would start. I'm still like that to this day. If I'm out in public and I'm in the grocery store and an older lady walks by, she smells like old school Avon from the 80s, I will start sneezing and my eyes will start watering. So fabric softener is the same way. It really is just perfume based softening agent. So I used my hands. I wound up with fabric softener all over my hands, and yesterday was a horrible allergy day. So while I use it to soften up some of these blankets, it's not. Maybe I should try what's that other one? Vinegar. I hear that vinegar acts as a fabric softener, so I might want to try vinegar out because I can handle the smell of that better than the perfume-based fabric softeners. So I want to say that the fabric softener did work. I went by the guideline on the bottle for a large load, a medium load. They didn't have one for a small load, so I went with the lowest line. You know how they put lines in the cap and say, fill it up to this line? I did the lowest line, and I have a bin in my kitchen that I put dirty hand towels in so they can be washed at the end of the week. So I took all the towels out of it, rinsed the bin out, put the fabric softener in. only a small amount of warm water, and the rest of it was all cold water. I put the blanket in there, and because my bin has handles, the water can only go so high, that I pushed the blanket down, but the top part still wasn't covered in water. I let it sit for about 45 minutes, went back out, flipped it over, let that sit for about a half hour, 45 minutes, and then when it was done, I put it in the washer on the delicate cycle, and washed it, and then I laid it flat to dry. Okay. It did, I would say that when I started out, the ice cream big scoop yarn, on a softness level and a scratchiness level, let's say, you know, like when you're in the doctor's office and they have that pain scale, right? Number 1 being you're perfectly fine and you're happy in a smiley face. Number 1 is being the best, right? And number 10 being the worst, where you're crying every day. The pain is so bad you feel like you're dying, okay? So we're going to do that for the scratchiness scale, right? So 10 being like vintage Red Heart Super Saver that was so scratchy that no matter what you did, you couldn't get rid of that scratch, right? And then number 1 being the super softest, bestest feel of yarn, okay? I would have given this right in the middle. I would have given it a 5. It wasn't as bad as Red Heart Super Saver from back in the day, but it's not as soft as its counterpart of the regular line brand ice cream yarn in the small skeins. In this small skein right here, that is 3.5 ounces. This is super soft. I would give it like a number 2 on the scale. It could be just a tad bit softer. So I would give it a 2, right? But this one, I would give it a 5. It wasn't the worst, but it wasn't the best either. After soaking it in the fabric softener, and I do think fabric softener is the way to go. I know some people, because fabric softener can be expensive, will use conditioner for your hair. I've done the conditioner on yarn and it doesn't quite work. So I think fabric softener is the way to go. But yeah, it did soften it up, thankfully. I was worried. But I love to experiment. I must have a little bit of a scientist in me because I love to experiment. The fabric softener did work. So I would say while I started out at a 5, it is now down at a 2. And it will compare to the stuff in the smaller ball. So I am thankful for that. Okay. So I did that. I worked on the border on this all week long. My little hands were just, you know, going and going and going and going and going around and around and around. So for the first 2 rounds of the border, I used white, just a basic standard white in a DK weight. I did 2 rounds of single crochet and it did bunch up on me. It's got a little bit of wave to it now, but that's okay. I don't mind. I can't be too worried about it. And then I grabbed the watermelon and I just did the linen stitch all the way around for the border. And I will lay it out on the bed and I will show you guys, because the green from the watermelon, like I love the way the pink and white worked up on this one side, because it just alternated. I didn't do that. The yarn did that, right? But over here on this one long side, all of the green decided it was going to go on one side of the blanket. Once I realized that all the green was landing on one side, I did briefly think about cutting the yarn and starting in a different spot to break up how all the green was landing in one spot. Briefly thought about it, and then I'm like, you know what? I can't be bothered. I can't. It has to be okay with the way it is. So there we go. All the green is on one side. Now, yeah, did some of the lighter green land elsewhere? Yes, because this alternates with the pink and the lighter green. Did the darker green come out in other spots? Yeah, towards the end. But it was funny to watch how the self-striping yarn worked in doing a border that just goes around and around without turning and without cutting. I just let it do its thing. So this blanket is officially done. All the yarn tails are tucked in and it's been washed and it's good to go. Oh, and my last round of the border, I did a picot. And the picot landed on top of a chain 1 space every other time. So it's here in the chain 1. single crochet, and then a picot on the next chain one. So it wound up being every other with one in each corner. Okay, I'll lay this out on the bed when we're done, because the way I'm filming here, I'll do this at the end. Okay. All right. So when that was done, I just finished this up last night. In the meantime, when I did need a break from working on that, because, you know, working on a border, you can get bored. It just goes around and around and around, and the same stitch for how many rows? I don't know, 10, 12. You get bored. So on Monday, I was working on patchwork squares with this color from Big Twist Value. That is from our now gone Joann's, in the color Rainbow Bright. So I like that it's neon colors with the orange, the purple, the blue, the pink, and then with some black in there. I really like this. Okay, I wound up doing 9 squares. And like, while I said I was working on these on Monday, like I did 3 or 4 of them on Monday, but I would have done 1 on Saturday, 1 on Sunday, you know, maybe 2 on Tuesday. Ooh, 2 for Tuesday. So I like that the, what color did I say that was? The Rainbow Bright. I like how all my squares are a little different. That one's got a lot of purple in it. That one's got black up and throughout, right? This one's got a lot of purple in it too, but in a different spot. This one's got all the colors in it, the blue, the orange, the yellow, the pink, the purple. It's got all the colors in there, which I love the way that one turned out. This one is heavy on the purple, because the purple is the biggest color throughout the whole skein. This one's got a little bit of everything. Heavy on the purple, heavy on the blue. Oh, this one's got a lot of the pink in it, and it's a really bright pink, almost a neon pink, and then heavy on the blue. So I love sitting at my computer when I've got some YouTube videos on in the background, and I'm balancing out my budget or something, and just working on these squares, because they take me, what? A little more than 5 minutes, but not quite 10. Let's say 7 minutes. I think it's been a while since I've timed myself. So about 7 minutes. So there's 9 patchwork squares to throw in my pile of squares. All right. So I did have somebody comment down below that some Joann stores are restocking their shelves with yarn. So it turns out that Joann has a warehouse that all the extra stuff that didn't fit in the stores, so they're emptying out their warehouses, and when they do that, they take the stuff to the store and they put it on the shelf. So on Sunday, I did go back to Joann's. Like, my Joann, I drive by it almost every day because my kid works at a pet store that's around the corner from Joann's, and so I practically drive by every day because I could take the kid to work and pick the kid up, right? So I was like, well, you know what? It's Sunday. It's also next to a thrift store. Like, it's sandwiched in between Best Buy and 2nd Avenue Thrift and Famous Footwear, I think. So I was like, you know what? Let me just go in there and see, because the last time I had been in there, there was nothing on the yarn shelves. And yeah, there was stuff in there on Sunday. Were the shelves fully stocked? No, it's whatever they're pulling out of their warehouse. So it is a bit random, and I did buy some more yarn. Now, I didn't want to be panic buying. Weeks ago, I already went and picked up the yarn that I was using for current projects. Like, I needed some more brown for my Christmas tree skirts. I needed some more green. I needed some more variegated because I'm using that in my patchwork squares. So no panic buying. I was in there specifically, and if they had it, I picked it up. If they didn't have it, then I know I'm going to have to rework my projects, which is okay. So this wasn't panic buying. It was just trying to help them out in their time of need, I guess. I did spend $39, but $5 of that was on a new coffee mug, because while I don't drink coffee, I drink hot tea, I just do not have enough mugs to suit my moods, because it's just like anything else. If I'm in the mood for a blue cup, I want a blue cup. So, and I say blue because that's what I bought. It's blue. It's got a nice big giant handle, and it's kind of like in the shape of an Easter egg with some pattern on it. I really like it. So yeah, I bought a coffee cup. So it's funny. They had this rainbow bright color. They only had 4 skeins on the shelf. I bought 2, and I left the other 2 for somebody else who's trying to get yarn for their projects. So, and their sale isn't all that big. Like, the yarn prices, they're only like 30% off. So, at $4.49, I paid $3.14. It's not a big sale, but I need this for my patchwork squares, okay? So, I bought 2 skeins of that. And then, because I showed you guys last week the #1 superfine weight yarn that I'm working with, I found some big twist. It's called Baby Bunny. And it's in this awesome peach color. I love a well done peach color. I would say peach is probably one of my favorite colors. Going back to the 80s with my grandma, I love peach. So it's 3.5 ounces, 100 grams. 284 yards, 260 meters. It's a #1 superfine. Okay, and that's just its yarn weight, you know, versus a #3 DK and a #4 worsted. What is it made out of? It's 65% polyester and 35% viscose. So, I mean, it's got this satiny feel to it, and I like it. And the peach color, I think, would go really well with that ivory color that I'm working with. So, I did buy 2, because I wasn't sure how much I would need if I worked on a project. I bought 4. And I'm thinking of adding it to a project that I'd started last week. All right, and now this color here. I love this. I could have bought every skein they had on the shelf. Like when I started with my patchwork squares, and I found out that Joann's had its own line of variegated yarns. This isn't quite variegated. It's more of it's a long color change, so it should be self-striping to a point. It's a bit ombre, where it goes with the darker orange into a lighter orange and into some shades of yellow. I absolutely love it. It very much has a Halloween vibe to me. It's kind of like candy corn. All right, you know, people either love candy corn as a candy or they hate it. I fall into the category of I love it. Now, I had to give up eating it because it's just pure sugar. I have type 2 diabetes. I have too much weight on my body. I needed to give up eating candy corn. But it doesn't mean I can't crochet and make something look like a candy corn, right? Like my mom's been making candy corn hats for years for the kids. Like my kids had candy corn hats that went up in a, you know, really did look like candy corn. Could I say candy corn one more time? Candy corn, candy corn, candy corn. So, of course, it's the big twist value. It's a 100% acrylic. The color is called Sunrise Ombre. And it is 4.3 ounces, 121 grams, 269 yards, and 246 meters. I bought 4, and I made sure that they were all the same dye lot. The lot is number 45-4236, manufactured July 2024. So I made sure all the labels had that same number and that same information. So I bought 4. I have an idea of making a blanket to look like candy corn. And hopefully 4 is all I'll need, because I'll round it out with some solid yellow and some solid orange. So that was my most recent trip to Joann's, and that was on Sunday. I'm not sure if I'm going to go to Joann's again, because I know with the way they're emptying the warehouses that you can go every day and probably find something new to buy. And I don't want to do that. I do not want to go every single day. Do I love looking at yarn on the shelves? Yes, but I can't go every day, and I certainly cannot afford to shop every day. So on Tuesday, I went out to Good Stuff Thrift. It's the closest thrift store to my house, and it has a really good book selection. I'm looking for a specific book. In the cookbook section or the dietary and nutrition section, I'm looking for the Mediterranean diet. I recently went to my heart doctor, and we have a schedule now that I'm supposed to go see him every 6 months. My heart is healthy. It's fine. It's just preventive because of type 2 diabetes. I have an overactive thyroid. We want to make sure that my heart stays healthy, okay? So I've had, 6 months ago, I had an echocardiogram. I had an EKG. I did a stress test because I was diagnosed with a heart murmur when I was a teenager, but it's really not a murmur. It's heart palpitations. My heart always beats faster than the average person. And it's not because of the weight I'm carrying. I was a perfectly normal weight when it started when I was a teenager. So I now take medication for it. Funny thing is, it's blood pressure medication, which I really don't need it because my blood pressure's fine. I take it to lower my heart rate so my heart's not working so hard and beating so fast. So we decided to go see every 6 months. He's like, I would really like to see you take some of the weight off. And thankfully, I was already working on it myself. I've never had a problem with my weight. Yeah, all right, I'm 5'2", and at some point I did reach 248 pounds. That was too much, okay? But that was after 3 babies, and that was right after the 3rd baby. And while that baby is 18 years old, I got my weight down to a manageable 220 pounds. And then I started fluctuating between 210, 220. I was working really hard. I just wanted to be under 210. And I recently hit that. 209.5. I know, 0.5. I don't care because it's under 210. But, you know, being 53 years old, I want to be able to be around for a long time with my kids. All right. With my husband, there are still things I want to do in this life. So I am changing my eating habits on my own. It is becoming healthier, less processed foods, less sugar, more fiber, more protein, and more healthier choices. With still some bad choices in there because you can't deny yourself this stuff because when you do, you wind up binging. Like, I love little chocolate candy bars. If I don't have one, the next time I'm around them, you'll eat all of them, okay? And that's not the way to go. So don't deny yourself, but also moderation, right? Anyway, I went looking for a Mediterranean nutrition book for the best foods, recipes, so I can start, because the doctor says that's the best one to be heart healthy, is the Mediterranean diet. So while Good Stuff Thrift didn't have what I was looking for, so my next choice is 2nd Avenue Thrift, because they have a big cookbook section in the store. I did find some yarn. I swear, I'm a magnet for yarn at the thrift store. So it's Lion Brand cupcake yarn, and it was $1.99. So I bought this on Tuesday. I don't know if it's a full skein. I think it is. I mean, it feels like it is, so short of putting it on a scale to see if it's all there, I bought another ball of yarn because I need to redo I want to work on my my Karen Cakes blanket, and I want to see if my pattern that I wrote specifically for Karen Cakes will work with other cake yarn from other companies. So I do have a plan for it, okay? All right, so I also, let's see, what else did I do? On Tuesday or Wednesday, that's Arlo. He just jumped up on a bin and the lid kind of fell. I filmed another organization video, which the first video of that series will be up on this Sunday. So I filmed more organizing. I still had stuff in my living room that was crochet related I needed to get out. So it's vlog style, but it's coming soon. And then I also did edits on a video, you know, so that's all still crochet related. Filming, edits, uploads, it's still all crochet related, and I did that all this week. All right, and then I think that was it. I spent most of my week working on this Lion Brand ice cream big scoop in the color watermelon. Yeah, Lion Brand ice cream big scoop. I always forget which way they put it on the label. In the color watermelon. I haven't done my numbers for it yet, like how many minutes per row and how many hours it took me to make it. I did use this whole skein, which was 10 ounces, 284 grams, 1,117 yards, or 1,022 meters, and it's a number 3 light or DK weight, 100% acrylic. They recommended a size H, which I think H is way too big for a number 3 light or DK weight yarn. Yeah, I know how long it took me for each row. It was 3 minutes, 13 seconds. And then the long side on the border was 4 minutes and 11 seconds. But I haven't done the math on how many rows I've done yet. Okay, but yeah, I think the H is way too big for such a number 3. I used, I used a G, which is a 4.25 millimeter. And even this is too big. I just wanted some drape to the blanket, and I crochet big and loose to begin with. I really would suggest an E or an F to use with the number 3 light. Sorry, it was a text message from my 18-year-old. They're finishing up their senior year of high school, and the senior class went on a camping trip yesterday. So they just texted me saying that they're on the bus on the way home from their camping trip. And me, being the smart aleck that I am, like my youngest, I used to sing the wheels on the bus go round and round. I used to sing that to the kid all the time whenever I would take them to school. So it became a running joke that when the kid turned into a teenager, they're like rolling their eyes at me like, Mom, you know. But so still to this day, whenever the kid gets on a bus, because, like, my kid has their own car, right? So they drive themselves to school, they drive themselves home, they drive themselves to work, they drive themselves home. But every now and then when they're on the bus for a field trip at school, I'm like, the wheels on the bus go round and round. And the kid still rolls their eyes at me and me like, and I'm like, someday you're going to sing this with me just like you used to when you were little. And they're like, nope, I am never singing that song ever again. I'm like, you're going to sing it. So I'm like hoping before they graduate high school, they'll sing it with me one last time. Because it's my youngest. I've got no more kids in school. And I just think it would be really nice if the kid sat down and sang the song with me one more time. You know, so they're on their way home from the camping trip. And, you know, so my text message is like, drive safe, even though the kid's not driving, that somebody else is driving the bus. And then I was like, the wheels on the bus go round and round. And the kid's like, huh? All right, so let's change our camera angle. I will show you the watermelon blanket laid out on the bed so you can see how it did all that striping on its own, okay? Give me a minute to rearrange and do some magic. All right, I'll be right back. Okay, so check this out. So the middle section is linen stitch, single crochet, chain 1, single crochet. You work in the chain 1 spaces on each and every single row after that. It did some really nice striping. I like how it worked out like that, right? And then 2 rounds of white to start the border, because at the time I was undecided on what I was going to do with the border. So it is just 2 rounds of plain single crochet, which actually wound up giving me this little bit of a bubbling effect, but I'm not worried about it. And then I did the linen stitch on the border. All right, so this first round was, you know, single crochet, chain 1, single crochet, all the way around. In my corners, I did a single crochet, chain 2, single crochet. So I worked in the chain 2 space all the way around in each of the corners, right? It gives me this nice sharp look, and I like that. And then a picot stitch on the last round. All right, and I like how we're just going around and around without cutting your yarn and without turning your work. Kind of like a granny square, you just keep going around and around. I like how the yarn colors did their own striping. Of course, you know, this pink and white on this side is my favorite, for sure. And then that's the top, where you got some green showing up in there. And then I turn that corner, and look at all that green. It's got a little bit of a Christmas vibe to it. But I think it works. I think it works for me. Does it look unbalanced? Maybe. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe because I made it that I can sit here and say, I like it. It's fine. I think we all do that when we look at the stuff that we make. And somebody else will look at it, and even if they think about doing constructive criticism, you're like, no, it's fine, it's fine, it's fine, it's fine, it's fine, it's fine. I meant to do that. So while I didn't mean to do that, I did let the yarn do its own thing. Okay, so that is, I don't know the dimensions on it. If you guys want me to do a separate video on all the dimensions, all the numbers, how many rows, how many stitches, how many rounds for the border. If you want a separate video for that, just let me know down in the comments below, okay? And then all that stuff, got to put all that away. Okay, so what did you think of the blanket? I think it actually works that way. I do appreciate how the yarn does its own self-striping thing. I am a big firm believer of controlling the color changing. I did that with my Karen Cakes blanket. I controlled where the colors changed, okay? I like doing that. I actually have control issues, so to let the yarn do its thing naturally on its own, I don't mind doing that either. I can do both equally. I can control it myself or let the yarn do it. I think it worked. I think it came out adorable. And when the baby gets older, because it's definitely baby size, when the baby gets older and becomes toddler size, they can walk around and use this like a little security blanket, because I think it's just small enough for that. You know, it's not like one of those little loveys that are only like, 12 inches or 24 inches. It's a little bigger than that, but I think it would still make a very much of a comfort thing for them, All right, so one last thing. My other Lion Brand ice cream yarns, the pink that I have made and the blue, along with the banana split, and I bought the green and the yellow. I do know what I'm going to be doing with this nail, thanks to you guys in your comments down below. It did help me figure out that no, I didn't want to do that, and yeah, I was leaning that way, and then advice on how to place the colors as I work on it. So I have figured out what I'm doing with this. So this is my next project for this week. I'm going to be starting on this one to get this one done. Okay. And then maybe my obsession with Lion Brand ice cream yarn might be done, and then we can move on to something else. I don't know. You guys know how much I appreciate each and every single one of you, how much I love you guys. I think you're awesome. I want you to keep being your awesome selves, and I'll see you next week for another update. Actually, maybe next week the update will be about that project. I don't know. I'm still trying to figure out how to do a weekly crochet update. I'm still working out I'm still working out the details, so just go with me here. If you like this kind of video, let me know down in the comments below. If you don't like it, let me know down in the comments below. All right, so Watermelon and I are saying goodbye. We love you. I'll see you guys later. Bye.